were the people were the people who, yes, they did travel. And I wanted to then equip those ones also, so that equip them with more tools so that they can continue traveling. So with those three groups of people that I grew up watching in my everyday life, I decided, okay, we need to create this business in order to equip, in order to make travel accessible, in order to offer young people also the experiences that I had growing up, the experiences that my family and I had growing up, and those that are traveling, of course, just to equip them to want to explore more, you know. Next slide, Anna, thank you. So culture shock, when Sis Mabongi asked me to speak on culture shock, it 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 got me thinking on the topic, especially obviously because I'm talking today about travel. It got me thinking that I believe that my life has been categorized with various moments of culture shock. And my whole life, I've been exposed to culture shock, actually. And I never realized this until a few days that I have been living my whole life outside this box, you know. I went to primary school in Liba Combined School. Liba Combined School is a primary school in Toyando, which is, other people call it Venda, but we call it Venda because that's where the Venda people are, but the right way to say it is Toyando, for those of you who did not know. Who did not know. So I went here to a school in Venda, and I stand to be corrected, but in Toyando, I think there are about 40% population is Indian, and these are not the Indians that we see in Durban, but these are the Indians that um, are found in, that come straight from India. And then I think that maybe the other 60 then would be the people from Toyando, the vendor people. So when I went there to primary school there, this was probably when I was in grade R or RR, one of those. But when I went there from an early age, I discovered that there are two groups of people here. There are these people who look like me, but obviously they speak a different language because they speak Venda. And obviously, because of that, they are of a different culture and they carry themselves differently. But there are also those people who are the Indian people who do not look like me, but also there's the sport that they're always playing, during break time, every minute they get, they're always playing cricket. For me, that was a culture shock on its own, even at my young age, because I look at these people and number one, they're playing a sport that I knew nothing of, I wasn't familiar about, and this is a sport that they're playing. So from a very young age, I was also curious to want to understand why is the sport so important to those people. Okay, do we play the sport on a national level? Do we have a national team? Where did the sport derive? And my curiosity grew from things like that. And in the school, we were privileged also that we would have days like Africa Day, and Africa Day was just a day where we would celebrate diversity and excuse me, and the different countries in Africa. And it gave me an opportunity to appreciate and to marvel and to learn authentically about other people and people of different cultures and backgrounds. So fast forward to my higher primary, I went to Guyana. And although most of the people that were in Guyana with me were Tsonga and they spoke Tsonga, so culture is the same and we are pretty much the same. Our teachers were from the Western Cape, the Cape Town. And I realized that these are people who left their comfort to come all the way from Cape Town to Guyana to come and teach. By virtue of them doing that, my horizon was already broadened. It was broadened because I look at these people and I'm saying, it means that when I go to university, I have I don't have to box myself to my little Guyana or to my little Malamlele. There's a world out there, and these are people who have uprooted their lives, their families to come here. And I'm sure they also, with them, in us living our lives and with us, they got to learn, and there were things that obviously affected them and were culture shockers to them. But for me, also, another thing is they did not only just teach us mathematics, they did not only just teach us physical science, but they also taught us about who they are, where they come from, their culture, and everything about them. So it's only now also that when like the older I get, I'm actually realizing, and now that I've been to Cape Town, that these people had actually traveled a long way. They had traveled a long distance, and they left one of the seven wonders of the world to come to Guyana, to come to Mangombe, and to come and teach us. And for me, that was indeed just a culture shock. And I believe that also influenced a lot, that I went to the University of KwaZulu Natal, to go and do my university studies, and I was privileged that I went to. I was in the Pietermaritzburg campus. Sorry about that. So I did my postgraduate in Pietermaritzburg, and I did my undergrad in Pietermaritzburg, and my postgraduate in Howard campus, which was in Durban. So I realized that, you know what, the experiences that I got growing up and the privilege that I've had uh, put me at a better standing, because even though when I was in university, I was in a learning institute, but there were people that did not even know where in the map of South Africa was Limpopo. People would ask me in varsity, in class, and at race, if we have the same president or we have a king in Limpopo. People did not understand the languages that are spoken in Limpopo. People did not even understand whether I needed a passport to go to Limpopo or not. So all of that, I came in from Limpopo, shocked obviously about the culture of the KwaZulu Natal people, but I was privileged in that uh, my experiences in those 18 years of my life broadened my horizon, and they made me look at life differently. I was at a better standing. I was more curious, and I think the nice thing about traveling is it keeps you curious, because even when I was in university, one of the things that I would do is, because we learned about things like Mandela state capture, the sites that Mandela was captured, not state capture, sorry. And I was curious when I came to KwaZulu Natal. I need to go to the Midlands to see this place, stuff like that. I would save up money to go and see the Drakensberg Mountains, because it's something that I learned about in geography. So now I wanted to see for myself. So my curiosity um, was forever expanding because of my experiences. And obviously, people at rest would tell me, "Hi, when Izinto, why are you going to these places? Why do you have to see this and all of that?" But I believe that, as a travel agent, I stand here and I'm presenting today, and I'm as a travel agent with this many experiences that I have. But I also believe that I have a privilege of being able to travel to different places, even never having set foot in those places. And what do I mean by this? Because I've got a lot of clients, and it's impossible. Yes, I do like to travel, but it's impossible for me to have went everywhere where I've taken a client. But what happens is that if someone comes to me and they want to go to a particular place, whether I've been there or not, I need to do research, because a client has so much belief and trust in me as their agent. So they want me to be telling them about the place. They want me to be telling them information about the place. I'm the expert according to them. So in doing so, I've learned a lot about different places, different cultures, and my business also allows me the privilege, or the way that I run my business, I have the privilege of receiving feedback from my clients and asking them, "Hey, how was your trip?" And in them sharing their experiences, I believe that they're also, without even knowing, sharing some culture shock experiences with me. So as a travel agent, I get to experience a lot of things through my clients. And today, sharing in this topic of culture shock, I'll be sharing experiences that I have had firsthand, but also experiences that I am borrowing from my lovely clients who have trusted me to curate their trips. So the first and my earliest experience, and I'm sure my parents are going to laugh at this one, but my earliest experience, because we've never really even labeled it as a culture shock experience, and in preparation now, it's only then when I'm realizing this was culture shock, you know. So we had went to Mozambique with my parents, and you know, in Mozambique, we there are different people and different languages are spoken, but one of the languages that are spoken is Xitsonga. My home language is also Xitsonga. So when we got to Mozambique, I was shocked at the fact that there is someone who speaks Xitsonga, but they have a different dialect. For me, as a young person going somewhere where I know we speak the same language, I had never known. I had never known that a dialect can be different. That you can say something in the same language as I, but it can mean something else to me because of the different dialects. So when I went to Mozambique, it was a big eye opener for me that, oh my gosh, we speak the same language, but we can't understand each other because of the dialect. It was a culture shock moment for me. Furthermore, you know, in Limpopo, where I stay, the Mozambique border is not so far from us. So, growing up, we have a lot of people from Mozambique who come, others legally, others illegally, into our town in Malamlele. And often those people are often the uneducated. They come to do domestic work. They work in our gardens and they work in our houses to help us clean and keep the area neat. But because they are coming into our country, and often a lot of them, if they come without papers, they'll work for particular families until even those families would help them get IDs, and then they can get social grants and so forth and so forth. It's another story for another day. But with that, they learn how to speak language, the Xitsonga language in our dialect when they come to our areas. So me now going to Mozambique, I thought I am going to meet the people that speak the same dialect as I. But unfortunately, I had the biggest shock of my life that no, man, we don't all speak the same dialect. Furthermore, from this Mozambique trip, you know, when we were, because a lot of people from Mozambique that I had experienced or been exposed to were people who were uneducated and they were doing manual labor. I did not know that Mozambique could be a fancy place with clean beaches and people would have Mercedes Benz cars, if there were hotels, if there were good doctors and stuff like that. But going into Mozambique and experiencing that and seeing that, oh my gosh, um, this is a lovely place. This is a good holiday destination. People are living good lives there. It helped me, it opened my eyes to let go of my arrogance as a South African, but it also humbled me and it gave me a teachable spirit to say, you know what, even from the people who are doing manual labor back at home, there's something I can learn. Though I look down at them because of their position, there's something I can learn. So that culture shock moment for me was a moment that helped me let go of my arrogance, and humbled me and gave me a teachable spirit. So while still in this trip in Mozambique, one afternoon my parents said, "You know what? We have to go for I think it was lunch." So when we decided to go for lunch, we went to a fancy place in Shai. So we went to a hotel there. So fancy eating place, and it was a treat actually. So when we got there, as we were waiting for our food, we had ordered drinks, and I'm not sure if it was my mom or my sister who ordered a Coke. So the Coke came, and in the Coke, there was ice and there was Coke. And then we quickly noticed that no, man, there's also something foreign in that glass. It was green, it was foreign. So, being the people that we are, we start building cases and we want to find out what this thing is. And now we are speaking bad on the waiter, saying we did not confront the waiter though, but we're saying this waiter is not paying due diligence. What's this in our glass? We want to investigate, we want to find out. And then we got another glass that we decided, okay, let's empty this Coke in it so that this green thing, foreign matter, can be left in the glass and we can see what it is. To our surprise, when we noticed it was a slice of lemon in the glass. And we all laughed at ourselves at the fact that, oh my gosh, it's just a lemon. And here we are building a case on this waiter. and this hotel that we thought was posh, but now we were looking down on because of this experience. But then what that had, up until that moment, I personally, and I'm thinking everyone in my family, had never had a Coke with a slice of lemon in. In fact, I don't think we had had any beverage, even water. We had never had water with a slice of lemon in it. Now, it's so easy. I get into a restaurant, they ask me what I want to drink. I say, can I please have a glass of water with lemon? I say it with so much ease. But there was a time I didn't even know that you can do something like that. And for me, in this moment, in this culture shock dining experience that I experienced, when we were faced with this uncertainty, when we were confronted with this discomfort, we had a choice. We had a choice whether we're going to remove that lemon and drink our Coke how we know it, or if we were going to adapt to new ways of doing things. And we decided, you know what, let us give it a try. Let us have this Coke with this lemon in it, and let's see what how good it could be, or how we could enjoy it even better. And that's what we did. We had the Coke with the lemon, but it was such a culture shock experience for us at that time, because it wasn't something that we had seen. And just also, it opened us up also to being teachable and to being adaptive. We can go to the next slide, Anna. So we went to Swaziland. I'll share a bit also just on a trip to Swaziland with my family. And as you know, at that time, um, back in the day, we there was no internet. I don't even think my parents owned a phone with internet. So how it would happen when we go on trips, my dad would probably check the telephone directory. He would call the specific place, make a reservation, and we would drive there and go. And we would rely on boards, on maps to get to our destination, basically. So because of that also, and just the fact that we couldn't check any reviews prior to getting to a particular accommodation, what would happen is we would book accommodation for the first 2 days. And even if it's a 10-day trip, we didn't want to bind ourselves to this place, because what if we don't like it? What if it doesn't meet the standard that we like, and stuff like that? So in this first 2 days of being in a particular place, it was also exploring, but also time for us to go get other accommodation if we need to. So when we were in the Swaziland trip, on day 2, and we're looking for accommodation, what we came into this lodge. It was fancy from the outside. We went in, we liked it, but when we saw the accommodation, the sleeping area were beehive huts, like you can see on the slide there. Debate started between my parents and I. Are we going to sleep in this place? Are we not going to sleep in this place? When we went inside, they had white sheets, it had air conditioning, it was fancy. But the fact was, it was a beehive hut. It was not even so like it is exactly on the picture. There is thatched grass all over the hut. And we said to ourselves, but we can't leave home where they have this kind of houses. And then now we're coming on holiday all the way from Limpopo, paying money to now come and sleep in an accommodation like this. And that for us was the lesson there, is that, okay, so when before I get to the lesson that we learned, what we did was we decided to look for alternative accommodation, because we're like, you know what, this is good, exploring is good, but no thanks with this accommodation. You can press it again, Anna. Yes. So my understanding and my lesson learned from this is, while we are open and eager to explore, travel also helps us understand that not every opportunity or experience is for us. It's not for us, and it's good to know what's for you and what's not for you. Be open and approach everything with an open mind. But travel will help you also, um, will help you also understand your biases. It will help you also understand yourself even better. Because also, for me, the other culture shock about this kind of accommodation was, it's the kind of accommodation that you don't pay much attention to at home, because if you see a house like this, it also tells you the economic status of that family. And I got to think, what you have for a different market can be very valuable. Sorry, it can be valuable because, like I said, I live very close to the Kruger National Park, and in the Punda Maria Main Road to Kruger. If someone is to make a a holiday destination or a lodge where people can sleep before they get into the Kruger National Park, there are people who do not want you to duplicate Camps Bay. There are people who do not want you to duplicate Umhlanga Rocks, but they want that authentic village experience. So if you have something like this and you have it for the tourist, you can actually have customers and people can like it. But also that, for me, that culture shock moment helped me understand that even in business, even in me as a business person, so often if I advertise something, or maybe I'm advertising a cruise ship trip, people will be like, no, I'm not going to travel because cruising this and this and this. But understand what is for you and what is not for you. Fine, you don't want to travel by flight, but you can drive, you can take a bus. There's so many things out there. If we are willing and we are open to explore, we can have a good time, we can travel, we can you don't have to close yourself up to anything. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, yes, it's the correct slide. Thank you. So we did our first international trip with my family, and our first international trip was to Mauritius. And this is a funny one because when you are doing an international trip, you don't have the luxury to research anything. Uh, in that time, I don't think I had ever met anyone that's from Mauritius. I didn't even know what kind of people are in Mauritius. All we knew as a family was this is a good travel destination, and we are going to go to Mauritius, and there are good beaches, and we are going to have a good time. But my parents were like any with any trip, basically, I think, besides security, food is top of the list. You want to go somewhere and you want to make sure that you not only are you well fed, but you're enjoying your meals, because in food the food experience is what makes life what it is, basically. So my parents decided, you know what, we are certain we're going to our accommodation is good and all of that is good, but we can't make mistakes with our food. And what we did was, my mom, about a week before the trip, my mom decided, no, we are going to buy some hard body chickens. She slaughtered the chickens, she prepared the chickens, and we froze them up. We had our spinach, we had our maize meal, because us from Limpopo, from Malamlele, actually Tsonga people, we eat a lot of pap and we eat pap with every meal. So we had that. We packed all those things into our suitcases and we flew with it to Mauritius. Don't ask me how we made it past border control, but we made it. We were not searched. Nothing funny, but we made it with our hard body chickens, with our oxtails, all frozen, ready to be cooked in Mauritius. And I realized, now looking back at that trip, I realized that our we were scared of the culture shock in terms of food and what the food experience would be like in Mauritius. Maybe 2 days into our trip, we decided, you know what? Instead of just us eating our food, some brave person, I don't remember who, but one brave person in our family said, let's go out and experience the restaurants here and the food here so that at least we know. And thankfully to that person, we did. We explored the fish markets, we explored the different restaurants, and lo and behold, we did enjoy the food. We enjoyed it so much so that I even bought a 2 kg bag of rice, Mauritian rice, to take back home and cook because I loved it that much. And I feel like we experienced, yes, the food was different, but that in that culture shock moment, when we are confronted with that uncertainty, we have to find strategies to confront our fear. And whatever we do, we need to do it afraid. But sitting out on the sidelines should never be an option. So even with us, the analogy here is that we yes, we found strategies to pack our own food, but we were also open and we went the extra mile and say, no, man, we are going to go to the fish markets and we are going to go and explore the food there. And if it's uncomfortable, then we'll know. If we are not happy, then we'll know. So just last year, um, I organized a trip. I organized a trip to Cape Town for some of my clients. So these were very, I would say, prominent people in society because they were school teachers and principals of schools. And I decided, you know what, in that Cape Town trip, they traveled to Cape Town. In that Cape Town trip, I want to give them fine dining experience, you know. Teachers work very hard all year round. So when they go to this trip, for dinner every night, they're going to get a fine dining experience. So I organized different restaurants where they can go and explore gourmet meals and all of that. And to my disappointment and their disappointment, when they came back from their trip, um, they gave me a bad review in terms of food. They liked everything else about the trip, but majority of them said to me, you know what, that fine dining experience we did not enjoy. We did not enjoy the portion size. We did not enjoy the fanciness of the hotel. It was so fancy, we felt like we don't fit into this place. We don't belong here. Some of them even opted from day two to have their meals as takeaways because they couldn't, some of them even said to me, you know what, it would have been better to just have um, Nando's full chicken, a loaf of bread, and a 2 liter of Coke. But that place was too posh. But others, on the contrary, did enjoy the experience. They enjoyed the meals. They enjoyed the way the food was curated and all of that. But all in all, for me, the lesson learned here is also find strategies, do it, explore, give. Yes, it's a culture shock to go into a restaurant where there's a certain dress code, to go into a restaurant where instead of eating with your hands, and us African people, especially because we eat pap, we want to feel our food, we eat with our hands. It's a different experience to go into a place where now there's a different fork for a different meal. But do it, and do it afraid if you have to. So as a leader, we can go to the next slide. Thank you, Anna. So, as leaders, and I believe all of us here in this meeting today, even if we are not currently leading, we are not currently leading a group of people, or we're not leading anywhere, but I believe that we are leaders at heart. We could be leading our families, you could be leading your group of friends, or you have a we have different spheres of influence within society. And I believe that as leaders in this diverse nation and in different spheres of influence, traveling does help you become a better leader. If you want to be a good leader, you must be able and willing to explore, invest in exploring and widening your horizon. And because the more that you go around and you meet different people of different cultures, you are able to not only lead yourself better, but you are able to learn from different people to become a different person. Before I started my business, in 2019, prior to 2019, I was a campus missionary. So I was a campus leader for university students in UKZ and Peter Maritzburg. And I always, one thing about that, feel like two things that I'm going to highlight from my time as campus ministry is that number one, it allowed my travel experiences allowed me to lead a diverse um, a diverse culture of people of different backgrounds, because in university we have people that are from Zim, they're from Swaziland, others are even out from outside of Africa. But because I had traveled and because I was not afraid to explore and experience, I was able to lead in campus ministry. And also, another thing with the campus ministry thing, I also used to even tell the students there that you are going to finish university and you are going to go out into the working environment. In order for you to be adaptable to that working environment, invest in travel, invest in exploring. Before you go home during June holidays, take take a bit of time, go to Cape Town. My first trip to Cape Town, I couldn't afford a hotel. So what I did was we were backpacking with my sister, and that's what we could afford. But also that was a culture shock moment, because when we got into the backpacking hostels, I discovered a lot of people from around the world. Others were old, others were my mom's age, and these were people who are saying, no, we want to travel, but we don't have the means, but we can do 200 at night at a backpacker, and it's safe and it's good, and that's what we're going to do. And they did that, and you get to explore and interact with people of different backgrounds. In March, I moved back to KZN from the Eastern Cape, and in the Eastern Cape, I held a position of leadership, and I was leading mostly the people of the Xhosa people and the Xhosa and colored community. And I believe that I was able to become the leader that I am to that environment, that group of people, because of my experience in travel and my understanding of people as a whole. And even now, back in KZN, I am still in a position of leadership where I'm leading people, also mainly Zulu people, and I'm able to do that and understand the diversity because of my willingness to travel and to explore and to put myself in uncomfortable situations, because that is what it is. um, so as leaders, one of the lessons that I could say is we should not be afraid to move, because that helps us to be adaptable. I believe that with traveling and overcoming these culture shock experiences, it helps us, it enables us to be better people, better leaders, because of the lessons that you will gain from it, because of your adaptability. And I believe that this is a key trait in becoming a good leader. You overcoming this culture shock experiences help you think on your feet, because you get to a place where you have people, you don't speak the same language, but now you want help, so it helps you think on your feet. You have to explain what you want so that they can help you. This is a trait that you can use in life, not even at work only, but in life. We need people who are able to think in your feet. We need people who are able to fight conflict, overcoming culture shock is learning how to fight conflict. When you're faced with conflict in your travels, you are able to now become a better leader. Overcoming also your fears, because when you overcome this culture shock experiences, you are able to overcome your fears, which is a key strength for a courageous life. And I believe that is what each and every one of us is destined for. So we can go to the next slide, Anna. Thank you. So it would be very unfair for me to tell you about the importance of travel and the importance of of overcoming this culture shock experiences without giving you the means to travel and the tools to travel. So I am Sasavona Mkhombo. I am a travel agent, and I want you to help you overcome culture shocks in your travels that will enable you to become a better person. So we are Fambani Travel Agency, like I have mentioned in the beginning. We are a growing business, and we have something for everyone. So if you do ever want to travel, if you want to get out of your comfort zone, if you are in the business of wanting to become a better you, um, in experiencing different people, different cultures, uh, near or far, let me plug you. You can check out our website, which is www.fambanitravelagency.co.za, or you can get hold of us on our numbers in the screen. I'll also ask Anna and Sisma Bongi to just share our contact details with you. Let's get in touch. Let's explore. Let's break this culture shock. Let's go beyond culture shock experiences. Let's be uncomfortable so that we can be better people. Thank you so much. I'll just open up the floor right now. If you have any questions for me, if you have any comments, if there's something that you would need further clarity with, I am your girl. Thank you.
Hi, Sasa. Thank you so much for
Hi.
that. That was amazing. I feel like I've traveled. I came from Limpopo. I went to Cape Town. I went to KZN, to Mauritius, back to Mozambique. Wow, I am blown away.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank
Anna.
you so much for that amazing, tantalizing presentation. I see there is a question in the comment section. It says, how would you advise young people who want to experience more cultures and places but have a tight budget? Thank you for that question,
Thank
Nisa.
you. Thank you so much. I think um, as a travel agent, I've actually realized that there's something for everyone out there. And if we want to all measure our travel experiences by five-star hotel, white sheets, gourmet meals, we might never travel. We'll forever box ourselves and say, oh, I need to have 1 million in order to travel. Or if we look at our travel experiences as Dubai, I need to do what this influencer has done. We'll forever box ourselves and say that indeed travel is for the elite,
Hmm.
excuse me, is for the elite few. So as someone who is young and want to experience more cultures, first of all, I'll say you need to be very open minded. You need to be very open minded because um maybe you can afford to go to Cape Town, but you can't afford a hotel. Are you open enough to say, okay, I'm going to stay at a backpackers? You want to go out, but you can't afford a a a luxury resort, but there are glamping opportunities that you can do, as an alternative accommodation. And obviously, we want to do things that are safe. We want to do things that are not compromising us. So even with that, I would advise you to say, be open minded, and also the luxury of having an agent. And I'm not saying this because I'm a travel agent, but the luxury of having someone who's more experienced to just guide you through the process, because travel is very daunting. I'm not going to lie and sugarcoat it and say everyone can travel, you can plan a trip. It is very daunting, and sometimes you just need someone to be like, hey, um check out this accommodation, check out this. It's better to travel on this date because it's cheaper. So that's what I would say. Be open minded, be willing to explore, and also just find your own path, man. Don't want to do what has been done by a certain influencer because you want to be relevant, because you'll actually discover that there is something that you like. And it's good to see other people and other things for inspiration, but sometimes we box ourselves, and travel looks the same way for everyone because this is how we've seen someone do it. So there is something for everyone. You just have to be open, and also plan early with the help of an agent, because if you leave it for, if you want to go on a trip in December, your budget is tight, it means even the kind of places that you want to go to are somewhat limited. You don't have an open budget. So if you plan early, you plan in time, you are able to enjoy that, and you'll realize that, you know what, even someone with a tight budget can travel.
Hmm. Wow,
Mm.
amazing, amazing. That is so profound. Anyone else has a question? I just want to ask that with
Mm.
with the internet and we see all these travel, I don't know what they are, travel sites basically.
Mm.
Is it better then, as you said, should we use those? Because I think most people are gravitating towards thinking, oh, I can do it on myself. What is the advantage of using an individual like yourself over just going
Mm.
on Google? Yeah.
So I always share this, and if you go on our website, you'll actually realize I've got a little clip where I speak about why I started the business, right? And for me, I remember in our Mauritius trip also, we that was the first time I was confronted with a travel agent. So all the other trips that we had done, my dad would just check telephone directory, he would phone, he would do the bookings and everything. So for this Mauritius trip, also because it was our first international trip, he decided, you know what, let's go all out. Let's
Mm.
be going big, basically. So we had an agent. And for me, the luxury, or what I enjoyed so much about that time, and I when I do my business, I always want to give my clients that opportunity to say, I want to travel with someone who's always 5 steps ahead of me, you know? Because this
Mm,
agent, she knew the things that we needed even before we got to that point. She would tell us
mm,
that, okay, when you get here, there's a shuttle waiting for you. Now you get to the airport, there's someone holding a placard saying, welcome to the Mkhombo family, and all of those little things. So for me, I do my business and I try to want to give my clients that experience all the time. So yes, there is so much information on the internet. I'm not gonna lie, there is so many things, but I think the benefit of having a travel agent is just to have someone who will think on your behalf. Because also, like with a
mm,
holiday, you want to relax, you want to get the most of it.
mm,
Because it's not often where if you're going to Zanzibar, you'll go today and you'll go also tomorrow. So you want to make sure
mm,
that in the 7 days that I'm in Zanzibar, am I getting the full of the money that I've saved, you know? So
mm,
I would always forever recommend a an agent. And I say this also because it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg, you know. You
mm,
can still get something that is affordable, that is within your budget, but where you know that I am making the most of this trip, and I've gotten also something that is curated to meet your specific needs. Because two
mm,
families can both go to Mauritius, but because we're different, we don't want the same things, we don't want to explore the same
mm,
places. Yeah, there are places of
mm,
attraction that we would say, oh, these are important. If you go to Mauritius, you must make sure you go. But
mm,
now, um if you need someone who'll be like, okay, you guys are like the outdoors, so I'm going to give you this kind of accommodation, or you guys like this kind of experience, you know. So those are the benefits of having an agent, and why I'd always vouch for an agent. And you know what, we work very hard, so let's just enjoy. It's just one of the benefits to just enjoy the fruits of your labor, honestly. And I think for me, the reason why I push my business so much and I want to have it and I want to make it affordable is we can all experience this, and it doesn't have to break the bank. With what we have, we can all have a good time.
mm. Wow.
Mm.
What an amazing presentation. What an amazing journey. I know myself, I'm an avid traveler. I love traveling. Now I know I've got a plug already and I know where to go
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
So I invite you, colleagues on the call, please. This is our lady, Sasa Fambani Travels. Let's do this. Let's move out of our comfort zone. Let's not let fear, as she rightfully said, let's not let fear be our guiding force, but let's be adventurous. Let's open our mind to new experiences.
That's
Thank you
true.
so much, Sasa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anna.
Yes. I see that we're a bit over time. Thank you
Mm.
everyone for being so patient in our technical difficulties at the beginning, but that is the power of adaptation. I think Sasa will attest when you travel, you get into these things, flights are delayed, this is
That's
missing, luggage
true.
didn't arrive. You need to adapt. We move
That's
on,
true.
we are happy.
That's true.